Alright guys, here we go. So basically had to wipe my entire system and don't have any development tools. I have other stuff on here, like obviously you can see Evernote down here, so on and so forth, but I don't have any development tools whatsoever. So about to install those, show you how I'm going to set up a Node environment. I haven't coded in Node for a while, but it has definitely been, out of all the things that I've looked at, all the things that I programmed in, yeah, it's by far the coolest, to me at least. So we're going to start setting that up here. Good stuff. The first thing that I'm going to do is just download some prerequisites that I need for this machine in general for any development that I would do. And then I'm going to like go into Node specific. So like the first thing that I want on any machine is Git, because after you install Git, you get a couple of really cool things. Like you can use the curl command natively from Windows, which if you know what curl is, no big deal. It's pretty useful. Maybe I'll get into that in a future video, but Git is my preferred source control repository, basically, or source control management system, I should say. The reason being is it's incredibly fast. The way that it goes about stuff is just awesome. So all the links for, like, I would say most of the stuff that matters is in the description of this stream, / if you're watching this after it's live, no big deal. You should be able to see it. So hopping straight into it, here's the first link that you'll see. Basically, if you're not familiar with Git, click About and read why you might want to use it over something like Subversion, and I think you'll be kind of amazed. And it's super simple to get up to speed in. So I don't know, I love Git. It's extremely fast, it's extremely easy to use and push stuff up, and if you're interested in like doing anything in Windows Azure, they have a Git hook that basically will allow you to publish like straight to a website, and it's like incredibly automated. So hopping straight on into this. So when you're here, obviously click your operating system. It doesn't matter if you're Mac, Windows, Linux, whatever. Obviously this is about Windows, so we click Windows. When you do that, I did it earlier. When you do that, it'll say, hey, download and get starting in blah, blah, blah. I just did this, so I have no idea what so I don't even know what I'm saying. What am I saying? Okay, sorry. So I did this earlier. I had no idea that it was going to download right away because I was planning on doing it for the live stream, but no big deal. We'll just go to my downloads folder real quick. You can see Git right here. So I'll just go ahead and run that straight from, this is just running it straight from Chrome. So I'm going to run that. Cool. So obviously read anything that you're agreeing to. Don't just take my word for it. But yeah, so I want to be able to do the Windows Explorer integration. It's pretty nice, and associate it to .git and .sh files. Don't need any additional icons. Don't care about anything else. So this is pretty much perfect. Just click next, and then so use Git from Git Bash only. You can use Git from Windows command prompt as well, and then you can use Git and optional Unix tools from Windows and command prompt. So you'll see warning, this will override Windows tools like find, sort, yada yada yada. Now this is the one that I recommend. Why? Because you can use Unix type searching on your Windows machine. So if you come from like a different background, like maybe you come from Mac or from a Unix background or a Linux background, you can use all of those tools. And Unix and Linux backgrounds, which is basically what the underlying system of Mac is, they have some really, really awesome functionality that they do on their file system and what they allow you to do. So that being said, I'm going to do this because, well, I want to. You don't have to. You could just use Git from the Git Bash only, but I would at least recommend doing the second one, the Git from Windows command prompt, because it just makes it easier. You can use it from both. I normally just pop up the Git bash, but it's nice to be able to use it when you're just doing your regular command line stuff. So yeah, and then you'll see that it has optional Unix tools and stuff like that. You can do this one as well. I believe this will still allow you to do stuff like curl, yada yada yada. So maybe we'll do this one just to be safe, so that we don't confuse people, and in the future, as I release more videos, it'll be a little bit more user friendly for people. But yeah, as far as that goes, it's pretty cool. So I guess we'll just do this one. Yeah, let's just do that. It's cool. So check out Windows style, commit Unix style endings, check out as is, blah blah blah. And you can version by checking or committing out text files. Not recommended, blah 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 blah. So basically it's just saying, like, what are you going to do with like your carriage return line feeds and stuff like that. So if you have a disparity between like the text style or the text editor and how it does its line feeds and stuff, like as it goes through the document, it'll try and normalize those. So turn line feed and CRLF when committing. This is recommended setting for Windows, obviously, especially if you're working cross-platform. So like, let's say you're working on a project with a buddy that has a Mac or has a Linux-based system, and you guys are both trying to commit code back and forth. So big deal. Well, not a super big deal. Let me rephrase that. It's nice, and you should just rock it out like that. So good stuff. Next, use Minty, the default terminal, blah, blah, blah. Git bash will use Minty as terminal emulator, which supports resizable window, yada, 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 yada. And then you can use the default Windows console. I like the Minty one better because it's fresh, Minty fresh. No, not really. It is a little bit nicer than the default Windows command console. So just as a side note, that's the one that I'm picking. Enable Git credentials manager, totally, because after you start working on repositories that require credentials, right? So for instance, you're working on something that is hosted on GitHub or Bitbucket or Windows Azure, you're going to have credentials that you have to put in to be able to push and pull from those repositories, because you have to have permission to do so. So it'll allow you to save those. So you can do the enable file system caching. Technically, like, I have 32 gigs of RAM on this system, so does it really matter if I do this? No, like, it's not going to hurt my RAM at all for this, but I don't see a need. Git is already so fast, it's ridiculous, so I'm not going to do that. So cool. Installing Git, amazing stuff there. And then let me check something real quick. All right, sorry guys, had to get some water here. All right, so this is almost done. And I don't care about reviewing the release notes. Really doesn't matter at all to me. So, boom, we're good to go for that. So let's go ahead and X out of that. And like I said on this main homepage, if you go to About, or the documentation is really good. So the About will tell you about Git, why it was formed, how it was formed, what the differences are between like Git versus a centralized version control system. So definitely rock that out. Check out the About if you're unfamiliar with Git, and the documentation here will always help you. And just a reminder, all of these links are in the description of this video /stream. So you're good to go there. Now, moving on, and this is like some of the basic documentation, like why, like Git branching is what it's known for, or one of the many things that it's known for, but branching in Git is extremely easy, whereas in a lot of other version control systems, it's kind of a pain in the ass, and it takes a lot of hurdy pain to switch to Git for some people, but I prefer non-hurdy pain, and I already went through the hurdy pain, and now I'm here. So, enough about Git. Obviously, we need Node. Now, the only difference between these two is going to be that this is obviously stable, this has the latest features, this is recommended for most users. Well, why? What does LTS mean? LTS in like Unix and some systems, like in software development, stands for long-term support. So obviously important security things happened, yeehaw. So do I want to go with the latest stable release or the long-term support? I want to go with the latest stable. Because I really don't, I'm not worried about it. Although if you were, hypothetically, if you are pushing up to servers that only have a specific version of Node supported, you definitely want to make sure that you you have the correct quote-unquote version of Node installed, because it can it can be a big deal. So if we go to the changelog for this, we can see here's the Git page. Notable changes: buffer now properly throws range error, yada yada yada. Timers, cool. And then fixed regression. They did some linting normal tests. Notable changes in this: contextify, fixed a member consumption issue. So you can always do this on a lot of these larger projects, is look at their changelog. I don't know, you know, if you're watching this, I don't know what your development experience is in other languages or anything like that, but it is pretty important. So to make sure that you at least have an idea of it, if you're just starting off developing, no big deal. The safest bet for you is going to be the LTS release for Node. However, if you feel a little adventurous, it's not really that big of a deal to go to version 5.9.1. So that's what I'm doing, the latest stable release, which is this one right here, and blindly accepting their terms and conditions, which is not something that I recommend. And yeah, so just telling it where it's going to go. Next, cool. NPM. So NPM is Node's package manager. It is kind of like if you're coming from Windows development background, like you use C#.NET, stuff like that, you will notice like you have the NuGet package manager, right? And this is kind of like the NuGet package manager for Node, just a little bit different. So that's what that is. But basically, just click next. Install. Wait for setup window to, or setup window to say it's all done. And yes, it needs admin permissions. So just going through that, letting it rock out. Cool. So it has been successfully installed. Now, on to the next debacle. And this is something that I really, really struggled with, guys. So I, up until this point, like literally like today, I've used, for Node development, I have only used Sublime Text 2 and Vim. And quite notably, I used the vintage mode of Sublime Text 2 when editing to be able to do some Vim stuff. Now, it's been a long time since I've used Vim, and even when I did use it, I didn't spend enough time. Like, I think I used it for a couple of days, and then I just used the basic commands for like the next 3 weeks. Vim, if you don't know what it is, just check it out. You know, do some, maybe I'll throw a link to a guy that does a really good description of what Vim is and why you should use it. But just go to YouTube, type in why use Vim, and it's like one of the first videos. It's a bald guy. But that being said, it will dramatically increase the speed of your workflow because it It's just badass. And I'm not going to get into why here. However, up until this day, I've always used Sublime Text 2 to do my editing for Python programming for Node. Specifically, we're talking about Node here. So it has a lot of cool features, multiple selects, entry points, select next object, stuff like that. So really cool. Got nothing bad to say about Vim. It's really awesome. It's highly extensible. So you can be awesome basically. So I love Sublime Text. It's a great editor. It is like pretty much an unlimited free trial, and it just says like, hey, reminder, if you'd like to support us and purchase it, go for it. But you're not ever forced to buy the full version. I definitely suggest you do if you end up using Sublime Text and liking it. However, out of the box, Sublime Text is awesome. However, throwing in like maybe a handful, like 6 or 7 plugins into Sublime Text is going to make it like a much more rich editing environment for code, especially for Node.js. And I might mention those here, and towards the end of the stream, I might save it for another video. Don't want this to go too long. But Sublime Text 2 is, or 3 now, sorry. I've used 2 and 3. Awesome. I've used it all the way up until this moment. Now, here's my challenge. 2 of them, actually. One is I'm going to like kind of challenge myself to get better with Vim. And with Vim and setting up Vim correctly on any system, you can basically turn it into a full-on like IDE and just rock out in it way faster than you could in anything else. And I'm kind of tempted to do that. So something that I'm keeping in my mind, but I'd be using Vim on Sublime Text 2 anyway. It's like a baby step, using training wheels. Now enough about Vim. Sublime Text is a great choice and editor for doing anything related to Node. However, Microsoft is actually a pretty big supporter of Node. Whether they want to admit it or not, they're admitting it with their actions, because like their Azure platform supports Node actually extremely easily. So Windows Azure, their cloud, is really amazing at supporting Node applications in general. So that's what I use for Node development when I'm pushing it to prod quite frequently. There's other sources out there. You can use other cheaper ones and different ones that offer different feature sets, whatever you want to do. However, Microsoft does a great job. So they started to introduce some beta support for Node in like Visual Studio, the full edition, right? Now you can download Visual Studio Express, and that's great, and especially if you're trying to do .NET programming. But we're not trying to do .NET programming here. So they actually created this code editing environment that's basically like Sublime Text. They recreated Sublime Text, but gave it some fanciness. Now, the biggest fanciness that they really added was a couple of things that people struggle with in Sublime Text. So as you can see, this is available for all operating systems too, which was super cool of Microsoft to do. I'm not going to play this video here because it doesn't really matter. The biggest things that I want you guys to know, and why I'm going to pick this over Sublime Text, at least for now, to try out, is because it has built-in debugging for Node. Now, that being said, you can use Node Inspector, download Node Inspector, and you can run that straight as an npm install. And we might go into that a little bit in this video or another video. Not sure. But basically, you can still debug Node even if you don't use Visual Studio Code. You can do it from, console Sublime Text. You could use it. You could flat out code in Notepad and still be able to use the debugger to a degree. This allows, but it's built into Visual Studio Code, meaning that you can set breakpoints and you can run the debugger straight from this, and it will hit your breakpoints, everything, just like as if you're coding, like if you're a Microsoft programmer coming over to Node. That same kind of debugging workflow that you would expect from Visual Studio is definitely here. It's same with Eclipse, right? You can set breakpoints and you can see when that's hit in your code. Something super awesome, super valuable, at least in my opinion, as far as making sure that you have the best speed when it comes to finding and resolving software challenges, right? Whether that's a real bug or misperforming, functionality, or like something's just not behaving the way, like something's jacked up, a variable's not being set. It's so much easier when you have like true full-on debugging where you can set breakpoints. Just so much easier. And sorry about the honking in the background. People are getting a little overzealous. But anyway, so we have this is what I'm going to try, guys. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but yeah, that's the biggest thing for me is the built-in debugging. The second biggest thing about this and why I am considering using it and why I'm going to use it is because when it comes to IntelliSense, Sublime Text, you can get some plugins and get better like IntelliSense on like JavaScript and jQuery and stuff like that. But it still isn't great unless you build your own snippets. Or you can download other people's snippets, but then you're relying on their snippets, blah, 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 blah. But you can basically, this has built-in IntelliSense for everything. It understands your object model really well. So if you make an object, like let's say you have a person object and it has first name, last name, and age. Let's say that age is just an integer, right? Now, obviously JavaScript isn't like a type-safe language, doesn't really matter. But we're gonna go ahead and say like that's our object, a person object with first name, last name, and age. Cool. So then you go to, like you create a new person, you go person dot whatever. You're gonna see first name, last name show up on your IntelliSense, which just works really well in this from everything that I've researched. Now I have not tried this yet, guys. I just did a little bit of research before rocking out this live stream. So enough rambling about this. Oh, Node.js auto completion too. So it will auto complete not just JavaScript key commands, but it will do the IntelliSense and code completion for native Node functions and stuff like that. So for instance, like when you import the HTTP module, you have http.createServer. When you do that, if you hit http dot, it'll say like, it'll give you the option and show up in the IntelliSense create server. So those are like the two biggest things. So IntelliSense on the node functions themselves, and like really intelligent IntelliSense on my objects that I'm building, including from other files, including from AngularJS. Like you can see, like it's supporting a lot of stuff. Also, I don't think I have it up right now, but Emmet is something that actually, let's bring that up. Emmet.io. So I'm going to just play this quick little video, but you'll see basically what Emmet does, and it's completely supported in Visual Studio Code as well. So you see, you're just using CSS-like abbreviations. Now, the cool thing is you can type something like this, which seems a little weird, but after spending like a couple of minutes, you kind of just start to understand the format, and then it will basically scaffold out that code for you. And you can see like the class is auto incremented in this case, but you wouldn't necessarily have to have that happen. You could have it all do the same one. You can navigate between elements pretty easy, but it created this entire structure so that you didn't have to write all of that out. So Emmet's pretty badass, especially when you're working with a lot of HTML related stuff. Now, that being said, do I care all that much? Not sure yet, because I might be using, I'm not sure if I'm going to be using Jade for my templating engine or another one. So we have Sublime Text. We're not going to be using that for right now, so I'm just going to close out of that. We are going to be using Visual Studio Code. Long rant, completely finished now, but yeehaw. So good stuff. Now the next thing is that I need Vim inside Visual Studio Code. So let's go ahead and install Visual Studio Code real quick. Looks like it's a 32-bit application, which is fine. Cool. Add to path. I don't know. Sure, we'll let it even create a desktop icon. I'm feeling generous. Okay, so cool. and we'll just let that install. Should be a relatively quick install. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to look at adding VS Code Vim to it, and I'll show you kind of do we want to launch it? Do we want to launch it? I don't think we do yet, so we're not going to launch that yet because we're still in our setup loveliness. So cool. I'm going to leave this page up just in case I want to refer back to the documentation, stuff like that. Extensions, you have, which is what I'm about to add in. So you can see languages supported, yada, yada, yada. I still need to figure out what templating engine I'm going to decide to use on this next project that I'm about to do. So I will be working pretty heavily with some APIs and calls, and then I'll have to be, doing some drag and drop functionality for, a web application, be hosted up. And yeah, Jade scares me a little bit when doing stuff like that, because if I decide to go the Angular route, and I apologize in advance if any of these things are going over your head, like if you haven't messed around with, if this is your first time programming, period, you'll know at least how to get your environment set up, hopefully, because like right now I have an environment set up. Node is installed, Git is installed, so I can start rocking out with that. And then I have Visual Studio Code, so like I can actually create a Node project and get up and running, right? But this is not a Node or even a programming tutorial, really. This is just how to get your workstation set up and why I'm doing it this way. So I know there's a lot of seemingly randomness here, but this is kind of my random channel. So hope you guys like it. Back to all the love, all of it. Jade as a templating engine is really interesting because actually let's look that up real quick. So, and by the way, the reason that Google Chrome is popping this up instead of the normal thing that you see is I use a little plugin called Momentum. I highly recommend it. Keeps you on task. Has a little quote down here and a beautiful image, and just keeps me distraction free. But so we're going to go Jade templating engine. Boom. So jadelang.com. So you can see here's what you would write in Jade, and here's what it produces. So basically, I don't know how to explain this. I guess it's kind of like Python style coding for HTML. So if you notice this, like this p tag, like it's putting all of this stuff inside the p tag automatically, and it's using indents, and it's also using IDs and stuff like that to identify different divs, and obviously throwing in a .co is giving it a class of column. H1, boom, you're good to go. So like you can work with stuff. It's actually faster to write in this in a lot of ways because you're eliminating a bunch of closing tags and yada yada yada. What I don't like so much about it is that it does pose its own set of problems. Now there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with this, by the way. Like you can do, let's see, let's show you iteration, which is kind of cool. So you could do ul each val and 1 2 3 4 blah 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 li val. So it'll automatically create as many as this is in this array right here, right? Now the cool thing about that is you can pass in objects into the page dynamically with Node, and then interact with them and create them on the fly with something like what you're doing in Jade. Now, would you want to do that with something like Angular or jQuery? Depends on who you are and how you feel about that stuff. You have some basic interpolation here, so you can see like you can actually create your own variables and stuff like that and space them in. Iteration was one of the cooler aspects of this. Mixins are super awesome, which is you can create this list, right? And then anytime you want to use this list, it will utilize the list, for lack of a better term. But basically, really cool because you're you're going to be, you can reuse these over and over again throughout your thing, throughout your code base. Now, Jade, really awesome. It was one of the first things that Ryan Dahl actually really started using when he was talking about Node. But there are a couple other ones that I'm interested in. I'm not going to talk so much about that until I have a little bit more chance to investigate them. But I will show you a pretty badass little scaffolding framework. I think this is it. Yeah, mean.js. There is also, just so you know, another one is mean. I think it's mean.io. Maybe it's. I think it's mean.io. Let's see. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, look at that. So, JavaScript full stack for your next web application. So each one of these has their own benefits, obviously. As of about, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago, mean.js, after me looking at both of these for a while, was by far the leader. I loved it. So, yeah. And you can see some of the stuff that people say about this. Same with this. I mean, this is, watch the video if you feel like it. It's good stuff. So this is I'm debating on whether I want to use a mean.js stack like this or mean.io, which I need to look, kind of review these again, see what's happened since they're since the last 8 months that I did my last review. But mean stands for MongoDB, Express, AngularJS, and Node. Kind of a cool acronym, but it does actually have meaning. So MongoDB is a NoSQL database. Express, which we just looked at, and we haven't looked at yet, but I will show you, is pretty awesome. So I'm going to, we'll actually go through that, getting started real quick, just so you guys have a base for Express. Now, Express has broken itself out into a bunch of different modules instead of an overarching huge framework. It's like a base framework that's much thinner, and then a lot of little modules on top that get it to do what you need to do, which is cool. But back to mean. This is a really fun way to build applications. Now, some people absolutely hate Angular. Some people love it. Some people are still on the fence about it, and a lot of people are avoiding it. A lot of people are avoiding it, even though it is super popular and you hear about a lot of people using it. Not as many developers as you'd think use it. Now, AngularJS has its ups and downs and like positives and negatives. It does have quite a bit of a learning curve. After you get the hang of it, it's much easier. Same with Node, actually. And if you're used to like writing blocking code or line by line processing, going from something like C# to Node is a little challenging for some developers because you have to think about code differently. You have to think about it as nothing should ever be stopping. And that's beyond the scope of this tutorial. But just as a side note, you guys can rock this out. Check it out. This is basically how you install anything, by the way. Just you wouldn't do mean CLI. You just do sudo npm install -g. If you're on a Mac, npm install g, should be good to go. But enough of that. I'm thinking I'm gonna actually look through some of this here pretty soon. I do want to quickly go over Express, setting up Express. You can just do npm install Express, obviously, but we're gonna go to the getting started guide. So this is basically saying, assuming you already installed Node.js, create a directory to hold your application and then make it your working directory. Then you can do, npm init, this command prompts, blah, blah, blah. So you have your entry point. Now here's the thing. This installs it to a specific directory, right? That's cool. That's great because you're only, you're using npm, you're using Express for that project. So, but one thing that's pretty badass is the Express generator. If you're not using something like a mean stack, you can have it create a base level app for you. And by default, I believe it will use Jade, which we just talked about over here, right? So, and let's just go back to jade.com so you could remember that. So, which uses this kind of Python-y syntax, but you can use other ones and it doesn't matter. So you have to install the generator as a global, meaning you can access it anywhere. You're not installing it into a specific directory. I guess you don't have to, but that's what you should be doing, right? So cool. Then you can see here's the commands. For example, if you wanted to create an Express app named My App, boom, Express My App. And then you can basically, after that, do an npm install, which will install the dependencies and so on and so forth. So, so there you go. You have everything related to this, and you're good to go. So you have basically an app out of the box ready for you. So if you guys want to get up and running with Node as fast as possible, you have like the very, very basics of a web application built for you, meaning like it knows how to interpret the HTML. You have at least an example route or two surrounding like how is it going to take in HTTP requests, because that's something a lot different than, you know, like when you're coding in C#, you're not so worried about that, right? It handles all of that in the background. So you have some basic routes that are created. It's very, very basic. It's very, very easy to understand. So that being said, if you are new to Node, if you are new to developing, period, this is a super, super easy way to rock that out. Just as a side note. All right, so I don't know that I'm going to actually install this or not. I don't know. Maybe I am. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, look at that. Git bash. Boom. Oh, can I not paste in this? I have to go shift insert. What the shizzles? That's kind of annoying. Whatever. Okay, so npm install. We'll see what happens here. Boom. Showing. Alright, so if we go ls, we'll see, okay, where are we right now? So, I need to actually create a, separate directory. I mean, we could do desktop. Let's do make dir test. Now this is obviously just a bunch of command line crap. I could have done this in Windows by right-clicking on my desktop and going new folder, which is basically what that did. And then we'll cd into test. And then we'll see if this worked. So we need to do express my test appy sauce. I screwed up the camel casing a little bit, but we're good to go. So now you can see we have some code or something else to run here. So I'm going to actually type this out so that you guys got we'll rock this out. So okay, so cd my test appy sauce and npm install. That's going to install all the dependencies. I guess I just typed it wrong. Oh, I did type it wrong, in case you're wondering. Boom. So cool. That'll install all the dependencies for that. Just super chill. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a little. That's a little bit too much space. Sorry, I'm messing with. Cool. So it looks like all of the dependencies are good to go. So let's scroll down here on this and see what do we got. So on Windows, you can see set debug my app and npm start. We're just going to copy that. This isn't even using the development environment at all. Like, so this isn't using, mind you, when I say development environment, I mean the IDE that we chose, which is Visual Studio Code in this specific instance. So we're going to go ahead and run that, and you're going to see Windows Firewall block some crap occasionally. So now here's the deal. I like okay, so I think I'm just going to allow this on private networks for now, because this is on my desktop machine. It's not like I'm going to be taking that to a coffee shop. But yeah, so I need to allow Node access to be able to create stuff like modify ports and stuff like that. So hypothetically speaking, this app is now live. So let's see if that's true. So here, we'll put this down here, and then we'll do here, we'll do what the shizzle. Sorry guys. Here we go. Cool. So now should be running on port 3000. Let's see if I'm right. Cool. So you can see basically this is a super basic application, but it does show a web page. You can see the GET request here. It's spanning out some stuff to the debugger, all sorts of stuff. So let's go ahead and okay, here we go. So we're in the test folder, my appy sauce. We can see kind of what it created. So it created all of this basic stuff, including the routes. We have the index route, the user route, which it gives you a basic of what would happen if a user logged in. I know this is kind of super interesting. It looks like Visual Studio Code actually created a package surrounding this too, or is willing to open up the package.json file. So let's see what we can open this with. I could definitely I could rock that out. All right, cool. So anyway, if you wanted to, like, I think I can Vim inside this. So if I did like a new, here, let's do a new Git instance. Cool. So we have this new cool. Oh, and then we got a CD into my test appy sauce. Cool. So now if we ls, which is what we can do in, like, say, Unix environment, you can see here's what's up. All right. Oh, that's probably gonna look like crap for you guys. So I just move this down. All right. I don't know. No, we gotta change the song again. Sorry. I don't know what this is, but we're gonna play this. Ooh. Not sure I like that either. All right, we'll see what happens with this. So let's look at like the the Jade file or something like that. So views index, right? So to views, let's see if we can Vim in this. I don't know that we can. And Vim index. Nope, it created a new file, so we're going to quit. And this is, I believe, a .jade file. So we're gonna, so we're already in there now. So I'm gonna Vim index.jade. Cool, perfect. So, and since I don't have anything with Vim set up, we're just gonna hit syntax on and hope that works, which it doesn't look like it is. On. Okay, so we don't have syntax defined. Doesn't matter. Sorry guys, I know I'm being a little random here. If you're watching this afterwards, you can just skip me going through, I guess, some of this random stuff. But you can see that this is basically the scaffolding that it did. You have your block of content, which this is because there's essentially like a master file. If you're coming from a .NET background, there's like a master file that has your overall template in there. And you can mess around with that, and then it will style the rest of your app. So in this case, it extends layout, which is the master file, which we can actually look at too. And then it basically just says, hey, create an H1 that equals the title. And it says welcome title. So this basic Express, this is definitely using Jade. So cool. Gives you guys kind of a really basic understanding of setting up a Node environment. This is a full-on Node application running. I'm not going to get into the code for this right now. I might in another video. But for now, I feel like I'm being long-winded. So that being said, I will see you guys next time. Got all sorts of love. I do want to test one thing though. Oh, look at that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. Don't know what I'm doing at all. Okay, so I'm not going to test that. Can I close that? Sweet. So if you guys like this video, I mean, obviously if you're watching it after the fact that it's live, it's not scripted. I'm not doing any of this stuff scripted. I did bring up a couple of URLs, I guess, in the browser this time first, but that's pretty much it. It's not scripted at all. I don't do video scripted 99.9% of the time. It happens occasionally, but this is it. Just me setting up my dev environment. I mean, we're 46 minutes in, and that was, me explaining a lot of randomness that you really didn't need to know to set up your dev environment. So if you wanted all that information and you liked it, good stuff. Like the video if you're watching it after the live stream's over. Subscribe, do all that fun shit, because I would love to keep making these videos for you, and subscribing and liking and commenting actually helps me quite a bit be able to reach more people, which then kind of fuels me wanting to make more videos for you guys. So good stuff. Hope you have an amazing day. Rock it out like a badass. Do whatever it is that you do. Funky chicken status. And this has been, another installment of Pure Random. So in case you're wondering what my channel is about in general, and why I called it Pure Random, it is because this is going to be me live streaming randomly. Pretty much, I think most of my videos are going to be live streamed, and they're going to be completely random. It's going to be like whatever I feel like showing you guys at the time. So it might be me coding on a project that I'm actually working on. It might be me just showing you guys like, hey, like here's how to get started and setting up Node for Windows, because I have to do it anyway, right? So it might be that. It might be I do video editing, so you might see me video edit for projects that I'm working on. I might even grab one of these live stream videos and edit those for you, just as a kind of, if you're interested in learning like Premiere CC, and that is I like editing in that. Same with stuff like Photoshop, crap like that. So I'll be posting a bunch of nerdy stuff. I might even, not sure about this, but I might be even streaming games that I used to play. I haven't played video games, computer games, or any video game in a really long time. So that being said, I am going to end it there, and we're just going to kill this server, hit Command C basically to do that. Yeehaw. So yeah, that's basically, I mean, you guys got a chance to see that Node is set up correctly because it's running an actual Node application that we just scaffolded out from the basic Express stuff. So good chisel. The giant UPS truck going by my open window. So that's awesome. So cool. I'm gonna exit out of that. I'm not gonna really show you guys Git right now. Oh, I do want to exit out of this. So we will. Cool. so you guys can kind of see what's up. With that, Vim Adventures, Vim-Adventures, if you're interested in learning Vim. I haven't played this yet, so I am actually going to play this after this live stream. So who knows? Maybe I'll even live stream that too, just for the hell of it. But yeah, Jade, we went over. We talked a little bit about some full stack frameworks that you can use so that you don't have to build your own. Mean.io and Mean.js, both pretty damn awesome. I've used Mean.js before to create a pretty awesome application, I must say. Vim in general is awesome. I do need to install this into Visual Studio Code, so I will be doing that just so that I can use Vim inside Visual Studio Code, use them together as a crutch for a while before I make a full transition into like a full-on Vim environment, like using like say Vim and Tmux. So that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if I linked this, but Node Inspector, if you look that up, Node Inspector will allow you to debug Node applications regardless of what your what code editor you're using. Sublime Text is obviously an awesome option. Other than that, feel free to use Express to get started. It's expressjs.com, and I am about to put this link for the generator in the stream right now. So that's pretty much going to be the last of the stream. Let's do resource links. Express generator. Cool. So that's in the video description, in the stream description right now. So I didn't even see this. Why did I miss that? So we got a guy asking why I use Windows. Very good question that I'm not going to get into now, but I will actually, I will end this stream. I'm going to take a break real quick, and then I will totally answer that question. So ending off on that, you got all the links in the description for this stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until I see you guys next time, which will maybe be in a couple of minutes if you guys are watching, I will actually answer the why do I use Windows, because I actually have a Mac right next to me. As a matter of fact, here's the keyboard for it, and yeah, and then I actually use, you guys will probably laugh at this, but I use a Mac keyboard on a Windows computer and have for years. My buddy Ryan was the one that turned me on to it. I love the way that the keys feel. It feels like sex on your hands, is weird as that is to say, but like I love the way that it types. So yeah, there's that. Blah blah blah. All right, I'm ending the stream, guys, and I will be back on in a few minutes to talk, hopefully very, very shortly, about why do I use Windows. And yeah, so see you guys in the next stream. Like, subscribe, do whatever it is you guys do. Comment, let me know what you think of the stream. I know if you're watching this video afterwards, it's not as interactive because I can't see your chats and stuff like that. And I was actually sucked at responding to chats. But anyway, talk to you guys later. Have fun. Enjoy life. Until next time.